Hey, it's Naomi here at Dope CFO, and thank you so much for joining me. This is the replay of the live webinar we did, Transforming Your Accounting Practice with Cannabis. Unfortunately, the first 10 or 15 minutes of the webinar was cut off, so I'm just doing this short introduction, and then you're going to join the webinar where we were able to get it recorded. But at the beginning, we just kind of introduced ourselves. Why should you be listening to me? Why should you be listening to Andrew? We have an extensive background in accounting. Both of us are CPAs. I'm also an MBA. I transitioned out of public accounting about 3 years ago. And when I first transitioned out of public accounting, I was just looking for more freedom and more flexibility in my life. I was tired of reporting to a cubicle or an office. I wanted something that was remote. I wanted to be able to work from my computer. And frankly, I just thought that I wouldn't be doing accounting at all. So I was in my mid-30s thinking, okay, I made a mistake. I picked the wrong career. I've done all these studies and got out the CPA, and now I have to find something else to do. And I did go out there and I learned a bunch of different skills. And then I came across a program that taught me how to build a remote accounting firm, which was right up my alley. I could work from my computer and still do what I know how to do best and what I went to school to do. And so it took a couple of years to come to that. I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars, nearly $100,000 on training programs. And one of the training programs, I actually met Andrew. And so Andrew has a much longer background than me. He worked at public accounting for over 20 years with startups, over 5 years with cannabis companies. And he too, when I met him, he was working for a grower in Oregon, and he has 3 kids and a wife and a dog, and he'd like to be able to spend more time with his family. And plus he lives in Bend, Oregon, which is a resort town. And so there's mountain climbing and there's so much outdoorsy things that you can be doing besides being cooped up in an office. And so we learned in that program that we met together that the most important thing to grow your business is to niche down and become an expert in one specific niche. And so at the time that I was starting my accounting firm, I was just taking anybody who would come. I just needed income. I needed money. And so I took in manufacturing companies. I went with realtors. I tried to work with pro athletes, and nothing really clicked to me. Nothing really was that exciting to me until I came across cannabis. And so I reached out to Andrew. I learned more about cannabis accounting from him. And then we were able to build this wildly successful business. It's 2 businesses. It's cannabis accounting, where we have our own clients that we service, as well as a training program, because as I reached out to Andrew, there were a dozen other accountants who were reaching out to Andrew, and he was giving away a lot of information for free. And what we found is this information just can't be found online. There aren't any white papers. There's just nowhere to find this information. And so we're going to share this information with you in this presentation. Sorry that the first part got cut off, but I hope that you're able to gain value from this. And I will see you on the other side. Stay dope.
Adam is asking, what about states where cannabis isn't legal? So you have to just refer to your state board of accountancy if they haven't addressed it.
So that's, again, a good question. So another state, Texas, a lot of states has what's called very limited legality. So we don't count Texas as one of the 31 states where it's medical or recreational, but it is limited medical. There's 3 dispensaries in Texas. And so when we have a student, Summer, from Dallas, and so we just emailed the State Board of Texas and says, hey, we've got a student here who wants to serve cannabis. There's 3 clients there. As a matter of fact, I had a client in Texas, one of the 3. And the state board emailed back and they said, it's okay. They didn't have official position, but they gave us in writing. So they're willing to work with us. I mean, we've got, I don't know, 600,000 CPAs in the US, and they're going to work with us. Someone says, what the Fed's position? The Fed's official position is cannabis is illegal. It's on Schedule 1. That said, I had a call with the reporter this morning asking the same thing. I said, think about it. Just the cannabis industry itself, the farmers, the retailers, the dispensaries, the employees, thousands, if not 1 million workers in the US actually work for the cannabis industry. But then you've got to 10x that if you look at all the companies that are serving cannabis. attorneys, accountants, bookkeepers, electricians, plumbers, lighting companies, soil companies, on and on and on, marketers, everyone serving cannabis. So yes, is it federally illegal? Yes, but I think, and even from recent things, Sessions has even said, are they going to try to go after an electrician because they service a cannabis farm, or an accountant or an attorney? Highly unlikely. You know, we are right now, I mean, even over the weekend, a nation divided on so many things. One of the very, very, very few things that most Americans agree on is cannabis. I think it's 90% approval rate, Republican and Democrat, on medical cannabis. And that's why so many states are legalizing. It just simply is, most of us agree. This is not about politics, it's more of a movement.
Mm-hmm. And then we just had one more question about EAs.
And then is EA? Yes. So we have several EAs in our group. There is a position, and I forgot the lady's name. So there's a sister group, and they do CPE around the country for EAs. And there was a position by the head of, I forgot whatever the IRS division is, that it was okay for EAs to serve cannabis. And so there's a pretty sizable group of EAs out there that are serving cannabis, if you Google that.
Okay.
We better
Yeah.
keep going, Naomi.
Yeah,
We're
we're gonna keep going. You
get to
guys,
the meat
as
of
you
it. Yes.
as you have your questions. Sorry, I didn't announce this at the beginning, but there is a Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom screen, so you can post them there. That way we can have just the questions; they don't get lost in the chat. And then I also see a couple people have their hand raised. So if you want to ask a question live, we will do that at the very end. So you can keep your hand up, and we'll unmute you at the end.
Naomi, she said if you made her the host, she could maybe let more people in.
I've already
Okay.
made her the host.
Okay, let's keep moving.
Okay. All right. So now this is just a little bonus training. Now our program is not a marketing program, but we do have more than 25 different ways that you can find these license holders. We're going to put three different ways in here just so that you can see, you know, that there's so many people, so they're everywhere. Like there are hundreds and hundreds of publications, print, online publications about cannabis, trade organizations, trade publications that you can find, and these CEOs are quoted. You know, they write articles. You can find
So
their
almost
information in all of them.
all of them, almost every article you'll read, whether it's your local newspaper or National Geographic, will quote many CEOs. And then the number of cannabis events is just exploding. They're in every state, they're in every major city. They're just absolutely insanely big. So I encourage everyone interested to go to some of the local or regional events. You'll meet people, you'll learn about the industry, you'll see how products are made, you'll meet other service providers. But they're just everywhere, almost literally several a month.
Mm-hmm. And then also another place, here's number 3, or the second place, LinkedIn. How many of you guys are on LinkedIn? I just typed in the word cannabis CEO and I got 7,500 results. So now let me know, put a number in this chat. Of those 7,500 results, how many of those do you need to say yes to you for you to have a very nice, profitable practice? Let me know what your number is. You don't have to put how much we're not talking about how much how much you're charging, but yeah, so 5, 10, 15. If you can't get 5 out of the 7,500, oh, did it stop sharing again?
Nope, I can see it.
Okay, yeah, you should be able to get 5 out of the 75 people to say yes to you if you're doing marketing.
And we're not, again, covering too much of the marketing stuff here, but you will find that too. I was up to going from one full-time, I worked CFO at a really big firm. Then I went up to, I think, 10 clients by January. I'm back down to 5. You really don't need many cannabis clients because all 5 of my current clients right now are having massive expansions. And so our revenues grow with them. And so whether almost all dispensaries are adding more dispensaries, or they're adding a farm or a processor, or going multi-state. And so you can stay with 4 to 6 clients, whether you're a bookkeeper or a CPA, and make pretty good money and have it grow rapidly, even double every year without adding any clients. So it's kind of interesting. So in the just this year, I think I fired more than I've kept. And then on top of that, I've had, of all the people that come to me just from, our name is out there now every week, I think I've given like, I don't know, 30 clients to students in our program at this point, just send it on to them. So it's there, yeah, there's a lot of people and they really need help.
Yep. And that's just LinkedIn. Here's a third place. Now, everybody can do this. Don't do it now. Do it after the presentation, but you do have your notes. You can look at your state Department of Taxation where it's legal, even if it's not your state. So if you live in Texas and you want to go to Oklahoma, go to the Oklahoma State Department of Taxation. All I did was type in Nevada marijuana license holders. Very, very simple. And then look, the third result is marijuana establishment information, Nevada Department of Taxation. You click on that. The very first thing you see is open dispensaries as of June 2018. So it's very current. And when I opened that, I just got a list of all of them. So these, and this is just dispensaries. Keep in mind, you have to have growers, you have labs, you have a lot of different things, but this is already a huge list of just dispensaries that you can target if you'd like to get them as clients.
And so the overall point is they're pretty easy to find, they're pretty easy to reach, and it's growing at more than double each year, at least for the next few. So I mean, California alone this year is going to add more licenses than existed in the whole country last year. So and even to look at places like Oklahoma and Oregon, both states have about 2 million people, very small states, and both are going to have about 2,000 cannabis companies.
Yeah. And now that we've gone through like where to find them, if it's legal, why it's so important, why they need accountants so they can, avoid going to prison. Let's talk about providing them with world-class services. And so, Andrew, you want to talk about what it means.
So just at a very high level, for any business, accounting or photography or whatever, if you have your own business, you've got two pieces. One is finding clients, and then one is servicing them and hopefully providing world-class service. Because if you do this, I think we all know over time that will lead to good word of mouth and referrals, happy clients, and which will lead to more clients if you want them. So the question is, how do you do that world-class service? One big, huge piece of it to me that I really changed when I went into cannabis 5 years ago was to pick one niche. Before that, I had clients in oil and gas and pharmaceuticals and high tech and all kinds of things. And really, that's kind of been the accounting model for 50 years. Most CPA firms in the US serve everybody, coffee shops and oil rigs or whatever. But picking a niche and becoming an expert in it is great for two reasons: because of the two parts of building your firm, finding clients and serving them with world-class service. Becoming an expert is the one secret sauce for both of them. If you are an expert, people will be finding you. So in the old days, and I've been doing this for 25 years, I was constantly have to market and reach out. I haven't marketed to cannabis, I don't remember when, for finding clients. They just find me. I get in newspapers, people call me, the Journal Record called me today. I had not reached out to them at all in Oklahoma. And so you become an expert, and both the press and clients will find you. The second thing is, once you get that client being an expert, you're way more valuable to them. So right now at this point, yes, I know cannabis accounting and tax inside and out, but I also know all the operational issues, the software issues that they're all having. I know the state reporting systems of Metric, MJ Freeway, BioTrack. I know the merchant services issues. I know the banking games they play, the bank issues and cash controls. I know the consolidations, the multi-entity strategies where they can avoid some tax. I know the court cases. So I know everything. So I'm hugely valuable to my clients. I'm often connecting my clients with each other. I've connected a grower in Hawaii with a new company in Texas because they didn't have the genetic knowledge that these growers that were 20 short on capital in Hawaii, they're rich on capital in Texas. I put them together and they work together. So being an expert is a huge thing we teach, and whether you join our program or not, picking a great niche like cannabis is key, and then trying to become an expert in it, which is not as hard as you might think. We have a way I show everyone in an hour a day, and part of it is just getting involved in the movement. And we'll talk about that later as well. So cannabis
Yeah.
is more than a niche, it's a movement, and you can actually participate in the legal and political side if you so choose.
Yes.
And that's another way you'll meet a lot of CEOs if you actually get active.
Yeah, I mean, I just, and Andrew's being completely honest with, we have not had, we're running two widely successful businesses. We have our own accounting clients, and we have this training program. And in that time, we haven't this year at all marketed at all for our cannabis company, but we've just established ourselves as experts. So I just started in this niche in December, and I've already been quoted in different publications on Forbes and all those different things, being able to establish myself in just a short few months as an expert. And that's where we're able to find clients. So if you can go on podcast, if those are the types of things that we teach in our training program, as how to get clients in that way. And so now we're just going to get a little bit into the technical piece. What makes it complicated? So you saw this slide earlier. There's all these different things that we have to deal with. We can't get into every single one of these bullet points on this presentation. We're trying to keep it under an hour, but we will get into the cost accounting, because that's the meat and potatoes of cannabis. There was an article that just came out by the cannabis tax attorney that says that the IRS announces that they're going to start in 2019 doing a lot more audits on cannabis companies. So these companies know that it's coming, and then they know that they need to get their books together. So we see a lot of people coming to us. We need to go back several years, back to 2014, 2015, 2016, to get their books in order. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done out there. So what is IRC 280E? Type of 1, if you're familiar with IRC 280E, and type of 2, if you have no clue and would love for us to just teach you. Okay, a lot of people are familiar on this call. Good, yeah, not very. Awesome, okay. So high level, it's just one sentence in the tax code that says, if you are trafficking a Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 controlled substance, you are still required to pay taxes. However, you cannot write off any operating expenses, but you can write off cost of goods sold, because that's part of the definition of gross receipts. And so that's why cost accounting is so complex with these companies. And to top that off, in order to qualify for the cost of goods sold deduction, if you read further into other guidance that governs this, you have to be keeping your books under GAAP accrual accounting. And so that's a lot of small bookkeepers. You don't have to be concerned with GAAP accrual accounting for your local dentist or your real estate agent or anything like that. So that's where we're seeing a lot of confusion.
Yeah, so most cannabis companies are not doing that. So if you're a chemical extract processor or a farm, for one, or an edible manufacturer, you should be using 471-11 under 280E. And if you are not using GAAP accounting in your month-to-month financials, you're missing a bunch of tax deductions, which they list in that code. And so many are not following that. And I tell the CEOs, I say, if you're not doing this, there's only two possible outcomes. One is you're missing a tax deduction, which these CEOs really need, and that makes the CEO mad. Or even worse, your tax CPA is taking those deductions anyway, and your return is not compliant. And so they're both bad answers. I've almost never seen somebody do this right looking at 50 companies. They're all doing it wrong. It's just because they have the wrong unguided help, I guess, at this point. This will all change, over time, but it's where we are now. And a side point is someone says, what happens to the accounting if it's removed from Schedule 1? More than likely it's going to go to Schedule 2, which means the FDA is going to be regulating it, and it will still be subject to 280 if it's on Schedule 2. If it goes away completely, it's still going to be a complicated industry that's going to be a great niche. Think of something like the craft brew industry or whatever. This is going to be a massive industry for a long time. It's going to need experts that know all things about accounting and operations and whatnot. Yes,
Yeah.
they'll get more deductions, but they'll still have to do cost accounting.
Awesome. And so in order to even start with cost accounting, there are a number of questions that you need to ask. First, you need to figure out what type of entity it is. Each one of these entities, the cost accounting is different from a retail store than it is from a cultivator. And in the food processing, that's completely different. So you need to know what they are. And once you figure out which entity it is, then you need to figure out which code section are you following? Are you following 471-3 or 471-11? You also need to know the frequency. So some of the codes require you to do the cost accounting maybe monthly, quarterly, annually. It depends. You have to be able to ask all these questions. And then you also need to understand, you know, do they have to do class accounting? And if you guys are familiar with class accounting, that's typically for a retail store.
So yeah, so the class accounting we use for a dispensary. So the Champs case was the very first one that most people may have heard of, where this is actually one of the few victories on the cannabis side, where the courts did say, if you have a non-cannabis quote division within your company and you can show that you're tracking it, it has to actually meet 3 criteria. It has to be substantial, it has to be shown that it's operating for a profit, and you have to be documenting it with great records and preparing financials each month. So again, 99% of the people are not doing that. So that you may have a dispensary selling 4 million a year in cannabis products, and they sell, I don't know, 30 grand a year in t-shirts and hats, and then they try to deduct $500,000 against their t-shirt business. That doesn't work. They've got tax CPAs saying that does work, but so you have to show it's a substantial business. It's not just a drop in the bucket. It has to be profitable, and you have to keep good records. Now that said, our client here in Bend, Oregon does this exactly. He uses a space for events. He has a coffee shop. He sells all kinds of other products, and he meets all those criteria. We account for it every month. And so when the IRS comes to audit him, we will have our books in order for that.
Yeah. Okay. And so then after you ask all those questions, then you get into the actual cost accounting. We don't have time to go over both cost accounting for everything, but we will do a quick example for cultivation. And so the first question is, how much does it cost to grow a plant? And this is a question that if you were to, you know, find a CEO of a cultivation place and ask them that, they probably wouldn't be able to answer that question because they're not cost accountants. They just know how to grow plants. And so what we provide in our training is, this is just a snapshot of a flower calendar. So that's the first step. They need to fill this out. They need to let us know what percent complete each of their plants are in each of their greenhouses. Did you want to get into this, Andrew?
So so the flower calendar, I was answering a question at the same time. Someone asked about insurance, and do you have insurance providers? There is. So one thing in our group, we actually share, since there's 100 of us in 33 states now, we share who our insurance providers are. There are some insurance providers that are more cannabis friendly, some that are less, but there's definitely more and more getting into it daily. The flower calendar is just, this is one piece. So our cost accounting work papers build upon each other. It always starts at the farm. So the data we need each month out of our farmers, we need to, when you're growing a plant, it goes through planting a seed, then the vegetative stage, then the flowering stage, then they harvest it, then they dry it, cure it, trim it, test it at the lab, several stages. So a full cycle plant from seed to sale might at a farm be 180 days, it might be 150, might be 90. But you have to figure out for every plant and strain of plant in each reporting period, you have to know which plants are at which stage of completion, because we have to use percentage of completion. We have to know estimated yield by strain because it will vary. You might have Gorilla Glue yielding a pound of plant and, you know, Sour Diesel yielding half a pound of plant. And so you have to take the percent completion by expected yield to get a quantity of work in process. So we have to use this data. We also tie this data into metric, or the state required system that tracks quantities through the system, to make sure what they say is in inventory and they've counted also agrees to the state system, because state law in almost every single state requires that their inventory be accurate every single day or they can lose their license. So they have to report constantly their inventory of flower and plants, same at dispensaries, every single day to the state system, and they need to reconcile. So again, we do that for all of our clients. Most bookkeepers do not ever even, they don't know what metric is, a lot of them. They just don't do that. It's not QuickBooks or whatever.
Yep. And so then we'll go into the steps. So these are the steps that you need to take in order to do proper cost accounting. So first you have to complete your GAAP accrual accounting books, month end, quarter end, annual, depending on what's required for your entity. Then you need to determine allocations. So you have labor allocations as well as square footage allocations to your cost accounting. There's a physical inventory count that needs to be performed. You need to obtain the flower calendar that we just discussed. You need to obtain the state inventory reports, which Andrew just discussed. Each state has its own seed to sell system that they require these companies keep their books on, and that system is not very robust. You have to be able to pull it down and analyze it. Some of the numbers, they might, have all the numbers, and some of them might be units. Others might be weight, 5 pounds of this and 5 units, and you have to be able to understand that and read it and do the cost accounting properly from that. And then after all of those steps, can you do the cost accounting?
Someone's asking about, will slides be available for download?
Yes, no. The slides will not be available, but we will give you a replay.
Yes. And someone noted on here in the chat, Champs was a tax strategy win for cannabis, and that's right. But it's actually, it was a win if it was done correctly, but for like the Altermans, the problem was most people took it and ran with it and did it incorrectly. So it took something that was actually good for a CEO and it turned something into what I call the ticking time bomb. The Altermans were sitting on a ticking time bomb. They had no idea
Yep.
what they were, and many of them are in the same boat. And so yes, if you do it right, but it takes work and time to do it right.
Yes. And just to get into this now, how many of you on here will do all of that for a low monthly fee of $300 a month or even $500 a month? There's a lot that goes into this, and it's important that for us, for your fellow accountants, and for your own business, that you're charging what you're worth, and we're all charging what we're worth and not killing ourselves with this.
And so what we teach in our program and what we do, we kind of calculate sliding scale off revenues because they're growing rapidly, these companies. And we also have minimum fee because a lot of them are in startup mode. A farm can be a multi-million startup for 2 years with no revenues. But even small companies, for example, again, I live in Bend, Oregon. We're 3 hours away from Portland, the biggest city, over a mountain range. We have 80,000 people here, 23 dispensaries. My client started out in a 1,000 square foot building, one individual owner. He now has 3 dispensaries in the city of the 23, and he'll do somewhere around 7 million in sales this year. He has a team of, 60 employees. He's also got a coffee shop now. He's now building an indoor grow as well. And so he's growing rapidly. He has 2 full-time bookkeepers that he pays for on staff and another one part-time that work under us. And then myself, Naomi, and 2 other people help as well. And so we sometimes get people in our program and they go to the CEO and the CEO says, oh, someone else will do this for 500. Well, it's just not true. Small is not small. A single dispensary is multi-million every time in the US, period. And many, many employees, and it takes to do all these things correctly, it takes some time and systems to put in place. And so, yes, make sure you're charging a lot of money. My minimum fee right now, I don't quote anything under $5,000 a month to people call me and they're starting a new farm or whatever. So.
And those are startups. They're not even making any revenue. You guys have to realize that these companies, if they're going to be successful, they have to be heavily capitalized. So they'll have the cash to pay you, and they know that they need to get their systems in order before they actually go live. Some of the bigger ones who are really trying to make a move will pay those fees. So we've kind of discussed this. Owners need a system. They need to know what they should be doing at the end of the month, at the beginning of the month, at the end of the quarter, at the end of each year. They need to have flower calendars and different things so they can do their inventory counts and their cash counts. There's a lot that goes into doing accounting for these cannabis companies. Not only do they need a system, they also need a team. So there's no more of, I want you to be my accountant, my payroll processor, and my tax professional all in one person for $300 a month. They need a team. They understand that they need an admin staff. So we go to these clients and they might have the person that's paying them $500 a month. Well, guess what? We ask them, who's reviewing that work? You still need to hire us because you need somebody reviewing that work and making sure that they understand GAAP accounting and that they're making the correct cost accounting entries.
So, yeah, with the trained accountant, and they definitely need a ton of tax planning almost every time, even with a single owner. Like our dispensary here, he's got 8 entities now, and they often have like a leasing company, equipment company, an IP company. So they get these various entities, and so you'll have consolidations and just tax planning, because even if you do it right, like our client, he's paying a lot of tax both to the state and the feds, which brings up another part of your team. Oftentimes in normal America, you don't have this, a compliance officer, and we can fill that role as well, because they need to not just stay in compliance with all this accounting stuff. For example, Oregon, we've got an 89-page, I call it the rule book. Everything from visitor badges to how tall your fence has to be around your plants, to security cameras, how much backup tapes. There's 89 pages of rules, including accounting rules takes up less than 1 page of those 89. They are in there, but so they need someone to track that. They can get shut down, and these compliance officers do show up, and they actually show up as what do you call it? The pretend actors. They did a sting recently statewide on sending in minors to try to buy pot. And so Ben actually passed really well. So that was good.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So they need a team. And that pretty much concludes our presentation. So how many type of 1, if you're interested in becoming are you ready to transform your practice with cannabis? Type 2, if you're not. I hope I don't see any 2s. My feelings would be hurt.
I want to expand on this too, because at first, when I went into this, Naomi and I met too in a marketing program. I mean, probably a lot of you on here are familiar with marketing accounting programs. I took one in 2009 when I left full-time accounting, and actually the main idea I got out of it was to pick a niche from this guy, because I'd never done that before. And it's funny, we argued about it. He told me I had more high-tech, which is true. I had a lot more high-tech in Bend, Oregon. It's a kind of a sister offshoot to Silicon Valley. But I wanted to get in cannabis. I saw a greater need, and this is back when it wasn't so mainstream, and he told me it'd be a big mistake to go into cannabis, and it wasn't a great niche. But I'm totally happy. It's been fun. The CEOs, back to the movement idea, are really passionate about this space. They're passionate about the medical benefits of cannabis. They want more testing on it. And so I've gotten involved. I've never before been involved kind of in lobbying or politics, but I've been involved with these different people and cannabis companies and going to events, and it's fun. Usually they've got music or fun events, but then they tie it into a whole group. Last year, they go from Oregon, like 40 people descend on Washington, D.C. every year, and they get to go be heard by Congress. So there's so many of these fun groups. One of them is called normal.org, NORML.org. Is a great one to join. But if you become an expert in this niche, but also become a participant, which most niches don't have, and you'll find that you'll learn a ton and meet a ton of fun people as well. Yeah.
So Rima's putting a fun calculation in there. She's a 1.5 minus half, ready to become or transform her practice. So I just want to
like that. That's good.
I just want to go a little bit into we do have a training program, Dope CFO's Accounting for Cannabis online training. It's a very simple training program, and I'll just go through what we'll get. what you will get. So you'll have lifetime access. It's self-paced. So if you don't have time to do it right now, you can definitely take your own time with it. You'll have the exact processes, procedures, work papers that we use, that we currently use on our clients. And we have a nice book of business of our own. You'll have cannabis tailored accounting work papers, which includes the onboarding documents, the chart of accounts, the flower calendar, the month-end work papers, as well as the cost accounting training, library of resources, and you'll just get a huge shortcut. If this is something that you want to get into, instead of having to build this from scratch on your own, it gives you a huge shortcut to take advantage, establish yourself as an expert, get your clients before it becomes completely saturated.
And so and again, we talk to people, they find us and call us, and I pretty much tell people right off the bat that if you have your own firm or want your own firm and you've decided on cannabis, yes, this is just mainly a shortcut. You can figure a lot of this stuff out on your own anyway, but you're pretty much paying for the shortcut piece of it. But yeah, make sure this is the niche for you. It was the niche for us, and we love it and are having fun. It's going to be growing rapidly, I think, for quite a while. And even states, we have very successful students in places like Texas and Alabama. In some ways, it's like I got in even actually a little bit late in Oregon. Like if I had really been involved in say 2009 and 10 here, it would have been even greater. But if you're in a state where things are new, like Texas, you can get involved in really fun events and rallies, and you can help change the politics in your state. And
yeah.
And that will actually help build your expertise, because then the press will find you. They're always looking for people to give quotes about cannabis. And if they find out you're involved in a group or whatever, they will find you. Let me ask you on these questions. I've been typing answers to questions. Can people see these, or do they just, I'm not sure if it's to everybody.
Let us know if you're able to see the answers to I think only us as the panelists can see.
So one lady says, how do you work with bookkeeping firms that are interested? Before I had the program, I outsourced to several firms actually in California and Oregon that helped me work on clients, because I don't do bookkeeping. But I always tell the CEO I can do everything, and then I just outsource what I don't want to do. So I don't do tax prep and I don't do bookkeeping. At this point, if one of our clients needs a bookkeeper, we outsource it to somebody in our group. Our group is big enough that we like to share clients with each other as opposed to give them to people outside of our group.
People partner, just like Andrew and I, we met in a similar training program, and we partner and we've built a huge business. So there's that value also with joining. We have over 100 students who've joined this year, and it's just growing. It's growing rapidly.
So
Here are some of the things that you get as a bonus. So you do get our exact marketing system. This is not a sales. We're not teaching you sales, but we just teach you what we did. We're accountants. We're not salespeople. And we know that it's kind of hard. So we just show you what we've done. We get bi-weekly Q&A calls. We also have a private cannabis accountants network where you guys can meet other accountants who are in this niche and partner with them or bounce ideas and get advice from them. You also can, as a bonus, sometimes we do pass down referrals because Andrew and I can't take on, there's 15,000 licenses, so it's not possible for us to handle all of them. So sometimes clients
that's a good point to address. And this was kind of a little bit accidental, our network. That really wasn't how we started to form a network, and all of a sudden we've got this massive network of 100 of us, where this industry probably is going to need thousands when it's all said and done as they grow, because there's just still 9 out of 10 cannabis companies don't have someone trained in this. Now that said, our group, where we're all friendly with each other, we're all competitors with each other, we're kind of scattered across most of the US, but it is something to remember. Yeah, we definitely all compete with each other, but we also help each other. Someone asked me directly about it last week, and I said what I've already said here. I've handed off way more students to our group than I've added to our practice in this last year. So I'm pretty sure it's going to continue that way.
Yeah. And so this is just what some of our students are saying. So I'm not going to read through them all. This is actually not a student. So this was a referral that we gave, and the person came back and said, our student helped him out after he's been through a couple of other accountants and they just weren't able to get it right. And it scares him that he wasn't doing it right.
That was a guy I talked to in Portland, and yeah, I just gave him a student nearby in Portland that was a new bookkeeping firm, not a CPA, and he had been through, yeah, a lot of others, and he was super excited and she was just brand new in our program. She was just learning our cost accounting and whatnot, but that was good.
Mm-hmm. Other students are saying the work papers are invaluable. It's helping them provide quality service and quality results. They're proud to be involved from ground zero. Other students are saying that if you're on the fence about joining this training, don't hesitate. They've joined other courses in their career and the information is invaluable to them.
And that said too is a good place to do it. I mean, Naomi and I both, we've joined programs. I mean, we went to college and I went back to school to get my CPA in 93 or whatever. And then in the early, I don't know, mid 2000s, I joined B2B CFO, which was an extremely high priced course to be in B2B. And then Naomi and I took this course, but it's not even just in accounting. I think we both invested in education our whole lives because we do value that. I want to answer one other quick question here from Jay Shanahan about how can the IRS legally state this is illegal, but if you decide to do it anyway, you have to pay taxes. The IRS does not state this is illegal. The IRS is not, that's not the IRS's job saying if something's legal or illegal. All the IRS is saying, if you sell something in the US, you have to pay tax. So say let's just forget marijuana. Let's say you're a heroin dealer. Let's say you fly to Pakistan every month and you sneak in a whole ton of heroin and you go down to your local kindergarten, you sell it to kindergartners. That's about the most illegal thing you could ever do in your life. And the IRS does not say it's legal. But what the IRS says is if you sell that heroin to the kindergartners, you still got to pay us tax. So you're required to file a tax return. And it's a Schedule I drug is what they're saying in 280E, so you don't get any deductions. So not only do you have to pay tax, you have to pay a lot of tax. And that's how, I don't know if you remember when some of these movies where they got crime bosses, that was actually how they caught them, was on tax evasion. When they were trafficking in cocaine and whatnot, they weren't complying with the IRS. And they might be murdering people and getting away with it, but they didn't get away with the tax getaway. So
yeah.
And,
all right.
um,
And so we have 2 more minutes. I just want to get to the offer. So we are having a special offer. If you guys go to this link, so on your cheat sheet or anywhere, it's bit.ly, and we can post it in this chat as well, / it's kind of long. You guys see it.
So that's our offer. So you'll see our offer. We think it's a great discount. On our website, dopecfo.com, you'll see the price is I think someone else asked the price on our website is $4,000. This is a sizable discount.
You guys get it for less than $3,000. It's $2,995.
So it's a great price. We feel it's a great price either way because we feel like if you get one client and you bill them for a month or two, it should be completely paid for from your fee. So it's just a shortcut for those who want the specific thing. Someone else asked me if I don't do bookkeeping or tax prep, you only do tax resolution. I don't do that either. I do normally controller, GAAP, CFO work. I tell clients now always I do everything, which I do. And I have a team, whether they're employees or subcontractors, because I used to 10 years ago go to someone and say, I don't do bookkeeping, I don't do controllership, and I don't do tax prep, and I only do CFO work. And they would tell me, we don't need that. And so now I tell them I do everything and I just outsource the pieces I don't want.
Yeah.
And again, someone says the same question, admin, can you only do tax resolution? Yes, we have someone in our group that does tax resolution only. So you just partner. If you don't want to do bookkeeping, partner with a bookkeeper. And we have the same in our group. We have a lot of bookkeepers. That's all they want to do. Then we have people that just do tax returns. That's all they want to do, or tax planning. So you just pick your piece of the niche. But CEOs, it just makes it easier on them to tell them they're getting a one-stop shop. It says you.
Yeah, and that goes back to our slide about having a team. They really need a team. They don't need you to have be a one-stop shop.
And then, yeah, it says your program for tax or bookkeeping. It's really for everybody. So right now, as I said before, in the U.S., uh, of the I don't know, there's 10 to 20,000 cannabis companies. Most of those just have bookkeepers right now, and most of them are not doing the correct class or cost accounting just because they don't have the knowledge. They haven't been trained in it. So yes, even if you're a bookkeeper, we will give you some guidance on how you can serve those clients way, way better than they're being served now. So we would, same though, if you're a CPA, I'm not a bookkeeper. So I use the exact same things that are in my program for our practice.
All right, and I see Janice is asking for a partner. So if you join the program, there's over 100 people you can network with and partner with in that program.
And another question, I'm in a non-cannabis state. Again, yes, so there's barely such a thing as a non-cannabis state. So if you Google the map now, there's 31 cannabis states, medical or rec. Then there's limited medical states where you can, like, say, treat epilepsy and whatnot. Texas is one of those. I believe there's only 3 states where cannabis is 100% illegal: Idaho, and I think one of the Dakotas, and maybe Nebraska.
Yeah.
But that's changing quickly, but you could still serve clients in other states remotely. So that's one way. But even better than that, like our person in Alabama, where it's pretty negative there, you can get involved in the movement in your state. I think it's great to be in a non-cannabis state. Like I'm from Oklahoma. I could have easily moved back there last year or gotten active in Oklahoma and had 100 clients already. I already get people calling me from Oklahoma all the time just because I am from there and they heard of me. But there's nothing wrong with being from a cannabis state, non-cannabis.
Mm-hmm. And so this discount is available for the next 48 hours. So you guys have until Wednesday, end of day, Pacific time Wednesday, to take advantage of this discount. So if you need to get approval from your spouse or significant other, or if you need to move some money around, you'll have that time to take that discount. It's just a one-time fee.
And she brought up the cheat sheet. Is the link there for that as well?
Oh yes. So let me drop the cheat sheet link to you guys. Here it is. Freebie. All right, so everybody who stayed to the end, you guys get access to this freebie. I see a couple more questions jumping.
I'm typing at it.
So they can't see when you type the response.
Oh, okay. They can't see that. Oh, shoot.
So it says, is the DIY? Yeah, we should probably go back and answer a lot of those.
Okay, so okay.
Oh, you can? Oh, you can see the responses in the Q&A?
Can people see them?
Oh, yes. Okay, well then, perfect.
Okay.
I thought just that person.
Well, I don't know can you see just the questions you answered? I don't know. I'm thinking they can see all of them. So in the Q&A, there's an open, answered, and dismissed. Oh yeah, they can see them. Okay, good. And then I can click dismissed. Okay.
Okay, awesome.
Yay. So they can see them. We don't have to reprint them all. And so you gave the link to everybody. And we may have Amara even resend it because I don't know, 10 people dropped off the call at the end, so they could so this is the link where they.
Okay, so Jeff Calloway is asking from Facebook, can we write off the cost of the program?
So I think it would be, yes, it's a business education expense. It's not, we're not CPE yet. We're going to try to get that way, but we're not officially CPE at this point.
There are no payment plans. We're not set up for payment plans at this point, so it must be paid in full.
And then the VIP network. So everyone's in our group network for 4 months. After the network, we've actually been discussing what the actual price is going to be, because this year the network was included. So it's probably going to be something like $199 a month, and people can just decide if they want to stay in it or not.
Yeah.
Fabs wants you to repeat the offer. Can you do that?
So yeah, so
Where is the cheat sheet? I can't see it either.
Oh, wait, I popped it in the chat. I'll copy and paste it
I'll put
again.
it in the Q&A maybe, or
No, I think the chat.
you put it in the chat. Okay, so here it is. Can we put it up?
Do you guys see what I just pasted in the chat, the link? Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sending it only to panelists.
Now I put in, I just answered the question too. Where's the cheat sheet? I answered it. Does that work or not?
Yes, they said they can see those. I don't see the cheat sheet link. I'll post that in here again as well. Oh, wait, that's what I just did.
So can you all see it now? Or there should be a click.
Okay, so a lot of people are saying, oh, I'm sorry. There's somebody who asked what's included in the program. So we actually have a sales page link that Amara just posted. I will post it again below here because we're getting so much. You guys may not see it. Oh, and Sharon says she just purchased. Thanks so much. Congratulations and welcome into the program.
So someone asked about referrals just being to VIP members. So referrals is nothing that is in our program. I never tell people that I guarantee I'll refer them anybody. I have referred maybe, I don't know, 15 to 20% of our students, somebody at some point or another, but that's just not a certainty at all. So
We also have Brian in the program. Welcome to the program. Thank you for your purchase. And you're asking, what do you get? I'll scroll back up to, if I can. These are the things that you get. If you can take a screenshot of this. This is a high level in the nutshell what you get. We can't really go into depth.
So yeah, what you get, so it's pretty plug and play though what we get. So it's not, I tell people too now it's almost hard to describe. It's not a course like you think of a CPA course or an online course where you watch 100 hours of videos. I tried to make this very plug and play. And as a matter of fact, the very first students literally just wanted my work papers and I sold them a Dropbox folder. So it's set up in the folders, and so you can jump around easily. It's like an interactive book, workbook, and useful workspace. So we have two main folders, finding clients and serving them. So say you bought my program today and you already got a client, which is the case for at least 5 of my students. You can just skip finding clients and go right to serving them. And then the serving client folder has subfolders like onboarding, day-to-day accounting, month-end accounting, cost accounting, financials. So if you're onboarding a new client, you go into that folder, you'll find an engagement letter, our PBC list in Excel or PowerPoint or Word, so you can tailor it to your client and send it. So as opposed to, I give the example of the engagement letter, as opposed to you watching a video of me saying, here's what an engagement letter should have in it. You should have this, this, and this in your engagement letter. Instead, I say, here's the engagement letter I've used and tailored. And here, you can use it too. Just put in your firm name and logo and use that and tailor it to your needs. So these are actual work papers that you can download and use in your practice. And they're exactly what I use from start to finish. Same with our chart of accounts. They're QBB ready, they're Excel ready, they're Zero ready. So you can take them right into your clients.
Yeah. And Tracy is asking, do we discuss how to price? Yes, we do discuss how to price in the program. We recommend value-based pricing. You price your fees based off of that client's revenue. And we also establish a minimum fee. So you should not be doing anything for cheap in this industry.
And we also, so I really have always thought of the whole marketing side as a bonus, although I've been pretty successful at it. So I show you how I do it. I show you how I find CEOs in Naomi, how we send them one single email. And so again, we've written that email for you. You can tailor it and it addresses pain points of the cannabis CEO, real pain points and real benefits. So it grabs their attention. with various subject lines. So you can tailor that email that's already written. And then from that, some of these CEOs will book a single phone call with you. And again, we've written partially on our cheat script, but we even have more questions. We have about 30 questions that we ask every cannabis CEO. And then from that, we tell every cannabis CEO we have a solution for you, and we send them an offer email. We again have written that, which lists all our deliverables, what they get, what our fees are going to look like, and then we allow them to say yes or no. We don't do live visits. We tell them we're only remote, and we don't do 20 phone calls with them. We do one phone call and one offer email. So it's a pretty fine-tuned automated system we built with our practice. It works great. And it also works great playing a little bit hard to get with the CEOs. It's like, here it is. I'm not going to waste my time being interviewed. Some of them want to call you and say, what's your resume? Who have you worked with? What have you done? Da, 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 da. I just cut them off. It's like, I don't have time for this. Let me ask you questions about your practice. I'll tell you if I can help you or not. And then from there, feel free to jump on LinkedIn or whatever and ask more questions. We play pretty hard to get, and it works well because we know they're doing it wrong, which is just kind of that's the place we're starting from.
Yeah. And then we have another question about, does it tell you what to check for in your client's licenses to ensure they are correctly licensed before moving forward?
So we make sure that they all have an active license with the state, which you can check with your state, but we also want to see their certificate. And so they have to maintain those and update them each year. But yeah, we want to make sure they're compliant. But once they are licensed by the state, it's actually a nice control that we have. The state is actively monitoring that licensed business. So like our dispensary here in Bend, they've got security cameras. Those security cameras are hooked up to the state of Oregon. The state of Oregon can look into this dispensary here in Bend 24 hours a day, all year long, anytime. They can look at the customers. They can look at what's going on in the back room. They can look on everywhere. And so it's a great control the state has implemented. So we definitely get involved with that as well.
Awesome.
And you can actually earn good fees off compliance. Most of the compliance stuff is simply reading rules and following them, which means organization, which means you can do that whether you're a bookkeeper or a CPA. And it's also the thing the CEO does not want to do. It's just a headache. And so you can be add to that and help them everything from filling out their license to maintaining it. You help with tax planning, business entity choice, and tax minimization. So we do that with all our clients. There is a fair amount of discussion in the group, but so we don't give the actual tax planning ideas. A lot of it's high level, and yes. So when you're in our private VIP group, you'll see there's a lot of discussion about that very thing, entity selection, tax minimization. And so people are talking about that almost daily. What do you think about a C Corp with this thing under it? And so we have tax experts in our course that are way more versed in tax than I am. And so they're all very helpful. People are helpful of each other.
Yeah. And then somebody's asking about a checklist for compliance. So we don't have specific checklists for every single state for compliance. We just have the main things that you need to do to be compliant with the federal government. The reason why we don't have it for state by state is because they're still establishing those. They're changing every single month.
Well, they're all different. So Oregon's rules are 100 times different than California's rules. So if you, and oftentimes if you're remote, you may have clients in several states. So it's a good idea to have a rough idea of the basic state rules. Most of them are similar, and then you can decide if you want to help them with that or not. So state compliance is not required part of accounting, but you can help with it and charge for it. It's very easy. You don't need a checklist because you can just go to the state website and get one. They'll give you all the rules. All the states make it pretty easy to find the compliance stuff. It's not, they don't hide it. They give it to you and they're like, here's what you need to comply with. I mean, it's literally at the farm. I worked at Hi-Fi Farms 4 years ago. Their fence was a foot short and they had to rebuild the fence. I mean, it's stuff that you wouldn't believe. It's just, they've got rules on just about everything.
Yeah. All right. Any more questions from Facebook or any more questions here? Let us know what your thoughts are. We still have about half of you still here, so.
So yeah, thank you everyone for coming. We love cannabis. This whole program kind of started out of just an accidental need for this. We love serving the cannabis clients. We absolutely love our program right now. We are hooked up with, I don't know, 100 of the best bookkeepers and CPAs across the US. So it's really fun program. We're a whole bunch of us in the program are meeting in Las Vegas this month. Naomi's taking us all to dinner. She lives there. And we're gonna so that's just a side note. The granddaddy of all conferences is November 14th or 15th in Las Vegas every year. And so that's, yeah, if you want to just have a crazy few days, head to Las Vegas.
And so Angela's asking if she has any more questions during her decision process. Where can I direct my questions? You can just send us an email. You can respond to the emails that we've sent you. It just goes to B, the word B, our B spelled out, BE at dopecfo.com. And I'll put it in here. Or you can even do Naomi at dopecfo.com. And we can help you with those.
But yeah, we look forward
Or
to.
you can, yeah, go to our website and you can always book a meeting with us as well. All right.
And then, okay, so we're good to go.
Yep. If there aren't any more questions, we're going to end it here and let you guys go back to your day. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
All right.